everybody, what's up? It's JMO, another video for today. Today I am going to be talking about living with conviction. This might hopefully will go quick, that way I don't give you guys a 6-minute video again. But I've got my notebook again too, a handy dandy notebook. I feel like Steve from Blue's Clues. One of the things that I thought about for a long time is the fact that there's a lot of statistics that add up against, sorry, I'm just going to jump right into it. There's a lot of statistics that stack up against Christians in general that would make me believe that Christians are not made different by what they claim to believe. If Christians supposedly have a higher code of morals, a higher code of ethics, then why, for the most part, do we not look any different than the world? Here's some statistics for you. The Barna Group found that atheists and agnostics have the lowest divorce rate of all in comparison with the divorce rates of other religions. Divorce rates among conservative Christians were significantly higher. It's kind of weird, obviously seeing as how most of the Christian church views divorce as something to be shied away from. Christians' perceived stance against homosexuality is that they're anti-gay. There's a lot of protests where people picket and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, there's two sides of the street. There are also groups of Christians who, are trying to reach out to the LGBT community to say that we love you and support you, which is great. That's fantastic. But also, Christian radicals are known for their anti-abortion acts of violence, damaging property, killing people, and denying women medical care. That's a huge issue right now. Christian health insurance organizations are denying women health care when it comes to birth control and other stuff like that because of religious discrepancy or whatever. Most religions in general terms can be easily associated with the radicals of their cause. That's why people in America have an unjustified perception of Muslims. So in general, what good is religion if it's unnecessarily being divisive and all this kind of stuff? I love this quote. If you're an old school DC Talk fan, you might remember this. It was on their Jesus Freak album. But Brendan Manning has this quote. The single greatest cause of atheism in the world today is Christians who acknowledge Jesus with their lips, then walk out the door and deny him by their lifestyle. That is what an unbelieving world simply finds unbelievable. My point with this is just very short and quick. People used to believe in a flat world. They believed that the earth was just flat and that you could sail over the edge of it if you sailed too far. Now, obviously, as people investigated that more, they found that that wasn't true and that we actually live on a big ball of water and grass and life and awesomeness. So as people investigated it, they learned more and became more awesome. The Bible has historically been used by radicals for political or social agendas to get it to say what they want it to say. For years, Matthew 27:35, his blood be on us and on our children, was used to justify anti-Semitic behavior. Philemon, which is a letter from Paul to Philemon about his slave Onesimus. For years, that book was used to justify slavery and show that it was the Bible actually was in favor of slavery. And there's tons of other ones, that there's tons of old law in Leviticus that talks about how homosexuality is wrong and all this kind of stuff. People take that and they use it and they say, well, here, this is what my Bible says, and I want to use it to prove this point. In 1963, 65% of Americans believed the Bible as literal truth. Cover to cover, everything was literally true. 65%. It fell to 38% by the year 1978, which was 15 years later. And then over the last 3 decades, it's been about a 10% drop. So somewhere between 25 and 30% of Americans believe the Bible is literal truth. I think it might even be less than that now. And that was taken a Gallup poll. The Barna Group found that 92% of Americans own at least one Bible. The average household has 3. 85% of Americans consider their religious faith very important to their life. and feel very strongly about their religious beliefs, which is great, which is all well and good. Even if people don't describe themselves as religious, they might define themselves as spiritual, whether or not they grew up in a Christian household and have now since stopped going to church or whatever. But people define themselves as a Christian, which is fine. I'm not knocking on that at all. I'm simply issuing a challenge, is that the best thing to do, no matter what you believe, is to believe something with conviction and to live it out. And obviously not at the detriment to others. Like, we don't want people to believe it to conviction to the point where they're carrying out acts of violence against abortion clinics or acts of violence against the LBGT community or all that kind of stuff. What that is that's something that's taken out of context. People as Christians, if they're following Christ, I don't think it's so much of a I think that the point that people miss so much is the message of Christ it was not thou shalt not kind of thing, and that's what we've turned it into. The legalistic religious leaders of the time, the Pharisees and the Sadducees, when Jesus was around, the legalistic leaders were all about okay, well, you have to follow this law, and they were all hoity-toity because they were the best at it. They were like, oh yeah, we follow this to a T, we have all these rules that we follow very strictly and all this kind of stuff. And faith for some people has become that. For Christians this day and age has become, well, I don't do this, I don't do this, I don't do this, I abstain from all these things. But the message of Christ was to love God and to love others. And I think to lead a Christian lifestyle means to be proactive. I'm not saying I'm anywhere close to perfect. I'm sucking a lot at really living out my faith. But I'm issuing this as a challenge, that if you really want to say that you believe something, then be proactive about it. I think the hardest part about living a Christian lifestyle isn't abstaining from this or that or the other. I think it's about doing the hard things that people don't want to do. People have historically said that the Christian faith is supposed to be an uncomfortable faith because of persecution or whatever. But I think that it's an uncomfortable faith because it ought to make you want to help other people in a way that you're not comfortable doing, whether that's giving a ride to a homeless person or going out of your way to help someone move or do acts of charity or to feed the sick or take care of the needy, the widow, the orphan, all that kind of stuff. That's the hard stuff that we need to try to be doing, and we're not because we're sucking at life. Well, this kind of turned into a much longer video than I anticipated it to be, so I'm sorry for that, but I kind of got on a rant. But my point is, I know I'm kind of scatterbrained, hopefully this makes sense, but my point is this, that if you are going to believe something, then really figure out what that means, because an uninvestigated faith isn't really much of a faith at all. When people used to believe that there was a flat world, it was simply because they didn't know any better. But then when they found out that the world was actually round, it was like, okay, this totally changes our perceptions of stuff. If you want to claim to believe something, then really try and investigate and understand what it is that you believe. Don't just let someone else tell you what they think that you should believe, because that's where stuff gets messed up. All these radicals get caught up in their this is what we should teach kind of thing, and then all the masses just go along for the ride. If you really want to believe something and believe it with conviction, then investigate it, read about it, study it, really dive in deep about it, and see what you find out, because it'll probably be worth your time. I can guarantee you that it'll be worth your time. And even if you're not a religious person, like, really understand why it is that you believe what you believe. Read about it, study about it, because the best thing that that's going to do for all of us is it's going to stimulate awesome conversation, and we're all going to be better individuals because of it. So that's my video for the day. Hopefully it wasn't too all over the board. That's just the way my brain works. So sorry, but you can suck it twice. All right. Peace out. I'll talk to you later.